Welcome to Trickle Down Geekonomics. Today we're going to do a playthrough of Nova Aetas, the Dark Renaissance tactical game by Ludus Magnus Studio. So back in 2017, I kickstarted Sine Tempora, and this is their science fiction tactical game, and realized they had several, I think it was in 2015, they had kickstarted Nova Aetas, and I'd never heard of that, so looked into it a little deeper and found that I could still order it online and picked it up. In researching, I realized it was basically the same core game as Sine Tempora with just a different theme, so I thought it'd be a great way to get it and play it, and then when Sine Tempora came, I'd have a really good understanding of that system. There are some differences, but overall it's pretty much the same system. And I also really like the theme of Nova Aetas too. So I'm glad I picked it up. Similar things that, besides the movement and basic combat system, things are all very similar. It also uses well, in Sine Tempora they call it the momentum dial. And that's here. And as you can see, it's very similar in the way it looks and is set up as the, I think it's called the hologram. Hold on, I'm going to butcher this. I'm still going to butcher it, but I have to see it to say it. The horologium, which is basically a clock. So similar mechanics in the way it works, and the kind of, instead of having just a straight turn system where one person goes, the hero goes, and the enemy goes, or all the heroes go and then all the enemies go. Once the game starts and the initial startup's done, it starts getting mixed up and flows in, one activation flows into another, and it changes all the time. And I really like that system. It just kind of gives it a really neat dynamic to it that you don't get in other games. So it's a great idea. It was a really neat idea that they came up with to do that, to handle the turn structure. So anyways, so I'm glad I picked this up. It's got it's set in Renaissance Italy in 1502, and you basically play a bunch of a free band of kind of mercenaries for hire, and there's a variety of enemies in the game that you're going to go up against. There's the Venetian mercenaries, and we're in this particular mission takes place in Venice. You have the papal army, they have their papal guard and the Swiss guard, and then there's also the fantasy element to it. Is there's fauns and centaurs and chimeras and other creatures like that inhabit the world, so there's a fantasy element to it as well. And of course magic and using prayer and things like that to heal, stuff like that. So that's all incorporated into the game. So it has, and then of course great components, 3D terrain like they did in Sine Tempora. They started it here with the buildings, and there's trees. They have ladders so you can climb up buildings easier, and you can use them as kind of like planks to go from building to building. So there's neat 3D capability on the board. And again, great figures. Their miniatures are really well done, really well sculpted. I'm not the best painter in the world, but they're not too hard to paint because there's a decent amount of detail on there. Makes it a little easier. So we'll go ahead and get going here. So in Nova Aetas, our mission is, we were hired to find a messenger with a very important secret letter. So we're heading to Spoleto, which is this district of the village where we're at. And as we get closer to the village, we start to smell something's burning, some fire. And then we see all these Venetian mercenaries, Venice mercenaries, setting a fire to these buildings along with a strange woman who happens to be a gypsy, and she's setting these buildings on fire. So we rush in because we don't know if the messenger, he's in one of these buildings, and we need to rescue him and get that message delivered. So what we're going to do first is we have to put the messenger in one of these 4 buildings. So these are little incognito tokens that are used for various, objectives and things in the game. So you can see right here is our messenger. So we're going to mix these up and put them one in each building. And I think, okay, so we'll put one here. And again, these represent the messenger. And so what we have to do is we have to go, we actually don't get to just go to the building and find the messenger. The way the mission works is the enemy is setting a fire to these buildings. And when there's 3 fire tokens on one of the buildings, it collapses. When it collapses, we reveal the incognito token. If it happens to be the messenger, then the messenger tries to escape the board, the opposite side of the board from where he's at. So the downside is if 3 buildings are flattened, then we lose the mission. So what we have to try to do is we have to there's no other way to discover based on the mission parameters to discover if that's one of the if one of the tokens happens to be the messenger. So we have to let the building burn, and hopefully one of them happens to be the messenger. The other way we can, so that's the way, if 3 buildings are burned to the ground, they win. If 3 of our characters are defeated, then they win at one time. So if 3 of our heroes are down at one time, they win. So for us to win, we have to rescue the messenger, get him off the board, or defeat all the enemies before one of the buildings, all 3 buildings, of course, or the event happens. Once the event happens, then it's basically, it all focuses on getting the messenger off the board. So, and at that point we have a time limit. So missions have, every mission will show you a start time, an end time, and then where the enemies and the heroes start. So you can see we start at 5 a.m., we have till 8:30 a.m. And that's where we start on the clock. So the nice thing is you not only do you have, you're controlling the momentum of the game and how the characters, when they activate, it's also a built-in timer. So obviously it's a clock. So it's kind of nice to have that function built into it. So we are limited on how much time we have, and the fires get started by our 3 enemies. So we'll just take a look at those as we talk. So the enemies, 2 of the enemies are going to be focused on, at the beginning of the game, setting fire to these buildings. So this is the Stratiota. I think that, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But they are the mercenaries, fighters, and they do go up in level. So this is a level 1. There are higher level versions of these characters, and they can, once per turn, spend one action point to, if they're adjacent to a building, to set it afire. And then the gypsy, so there's our gypsy. She is also focused on setting fire on the buildings, but she uses soul fire, so she can do it at range, up to 6 away. She can set buildings on fire, but she will target the nearest one. So both of those enemies are going to be focused on the buildings, setting them afire. The crossbowmen, though, who have an incredibly long range of 7, they are going to be focused on our heroes. So their main focus is to attack the heroes. So they will not be setting a fire to buildings or anything like that. So the way the game works, again, we basically just go to the clock, and Anybody in the current, the big hand is going to keep ticking down as each section of the clock empties. And then you're going to have those characters go, and when they go, their action points get spent and they move along the clock. And then we just keep going down. So we'll see that as we do it. But so unfortunately the enemies get to go first. So we will, we'll just start right there. So I'll go ahead and we'll just take a look at these again. And we're going to look at their rapidity. So right here is the rapidity. This is their, how many action points they have to spend during their activation. So as you can see, the Mercenary Fighters have 5, the Gypsy has 5, and the Crossbowman has 4. And since they're all starting in the same activation or same turn, we have to compare the rapidity to see who would go first. So the Mercenary Fighters and the Gypsy have 5, so they're going to go before the Crossbowmen. And since they're tied, we can pick which one we want to go first. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Mercenary Fighters. So for them to move, all movement, determining range and everything is measured orthogonally. So when you move, you have to move orthogonally, no diagonal movement. And even when you measure range, you measure and you count orthogonally to your target. Line of sight is determined from a free front edge to another free front edge. So obviously you're going to be kind of going in a diagonal direction, but everything else is done orthogonally. And that's the same way it's done in Sine Tempora. So we'll go ahead and start with their Mercenary Fighters. And again, their main goal is to set fire to the buildings. Now, as I think I had already mentioned, the threat value of the buildings to the fighters is a 5. So they are focused on those buildings. And unless there are heroes get to a higher threat value, and I'll show, I don't think I've shown you that yet, so we'll show you that. They are going to stay focused on setting those buildings ablaze. So, and then the Gypsy, the threat value of the buildings is a 4. And again, our Crossbowmen, their main objective is to go after the heroes. So, right now, they're going to stay focused, even though another thing to show on their cards, I'll show you this too, is their control area. So right here is their control area, and the Mercenary Fighters have a control area of 3. So the Gypsy has a 6 and the Crossbowmen have 7. So right now, even though the scum is within 3, 1, 2, 3 of that fighter, the threat value of her is only a 1. So they're still going to focus on that building and ignore the heroes. So they're just going to take care of the setting the buildings on fire. So we'll start with this one. And again, they're only represented by 1 token on the clock, but each one has 5 AP. It's not 5 AP amongst all 4 of the figures on the board. It's 5 action points per figure. So, and then once they've all gone, then we move their token on the clock. So we'll go ahead and move this one, 1, 2, so that's 2 AP. And then he will spend 1 AP to set fire to that building. And he has done what his main focus, his objective, he's done. Even though he has 2 points left, he's not going to do anything else because that's what his main goal was. This one will move 1 AP, and then he will set fire to this building. This one's going to move 1 AP, set fire to that building. And this one will also, over here, is going to move 1 AP and set fire to that building. So they've each set their building on fire. Even though they haven't used all their AP, enemies always move their full AP on the clock, regardless of how much they actually spend. So they are done. So now we're going to move them on the clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they are done. So now we will go to the Gypsy. Now the Gypsy has a ranged attack. She uses a spell called Soulfire, and it has a range of 6. The little mind eye, I think that's what it's called, is the number of successes she would need to cast a spell. In this particular case, she's attacking a building, so she doesn't need to worry about that. But if she was attacking a target, she'd have to get at least 1 success, and then that would be, the spell would go off. This is the fact that it's a magical attack, and it's a 5+. So basically, any 5s above, they need to get a 5 or a 6. The heroes to stop, to block the attack. Again, heroes are the only ones that are rolling dice. It targets one character, so that's bullseye symbol is just targeting one target. Not if it was just the circle without the bullseye in the middle, it would be more of an area effect. The outlined figure here, the white figure, is hero, represents a hero. If it was solid black, it would represent an enemy, and if it was black and white, it would be anybody would be a target. After the lightning bolt there, that's what the effects are of the attack. So it does 3 wounds if it hits, and it sets it afire. Down here you see knife and marksman. Knife has to do with when she attempts to disengage. It allows her to push back any enemy that's adjacent to her. And then marksman means that she's always going to attempt to disengage before she attacks. She has to disengage to do that, where the knife comes in handy there. So that's her abilities. So, okay, so we are going to do her attack. Now, she doesn't have to move. She's got line of sight to the building. The closest building would be this one. So she just sets it afire with her spell. But that costs her 3 AP to do that. All basic attacks, unless otherwise stated, if a weapon or a skill or something, they all have their own AP, but a basic attack is always 3 AP. She has 2 AP left, but she doesn't need to move or anything, so she's going to stay where she's at. But she does use all 5 AP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the clock. So she's done, so now we have our crossbowmen. Now the crossbowmen have a control area of 7, and which is right here. And they have a crossbow. So their crossbow has a range of 7. It does 3 damage when it hits. And it's you have to roll, the hero has to roll a 5 or better to block the hit. And it's a reload of 2. And what that means is after he fires, he has to spend 2 AP to reload. Now to do the attack, it costs 3. He's got 4 rapidity, so he only has 4 action points. So basically what it means is they're going to reload fire every other turn, because they have to reload on the next turn. Again, he has a knife too, because being a ranged attacker, he has to break away. Quiver doesn't really mean anything. It's basically just that he uses bolts. Climb 1 means he can climb up a building. He has the ability to climb. Not everybody can do that. And then he's a marksman, so again, he has to disengage to make a ranged attack if he's adjacent to an enemy. So they both unfortunately, our squire is within control area and within range of the attack. So again, they don't have to move. They have line of sight. As you can see, their front edges, there's nothing in the way. The only thing that really blocks line of sight would be a building or an object of some sort, or an enemy figure. Ally figures do not block line of sight for them to fire. So we'll start with the crossbowman on the left. So what the squire has, it uses his physical. It's a physical attack. That's another thing too. If you see the little white icon there, little white emblem, that represents a mind attack, and then the red represents a physical attack. So the crossbowman is going to be making a physical attack, so we use the squire's physical stats. We'll take a look at their card too since we're doing this. So the first stat on the squire's character sheet is his mastery. So he uses a D6. They eventually get to pick a profession, and they kind of go up in level, so to speak. And when they do that, most of them, they're going to jump up to a D8. This is the rapidity. So again, 5 action points. This represents their physical. So they have 4 physical. And I kind of look at it like it looks like a strong man kind of posing there. And then this is mind. So again, it focuses more, kind of looks more like a cloak wearing figure, robe wearing figure with to represent the mind. And that's 1. And then this would be the health, and again, kind of has like the heart look to it, so he has 5 health. So that's his card and his stats. And so he gets to roll 4 dice. Now this represents the number of dice you would roll in a test. So he rolls 4 dice, and again, he's got to get a 5 or better to stop any damage coming through. Now he does have light armor. And light armor, what that does is it allows him to put 1 wound on the light armor before he takes a wound. The downside is it only does it 1 time, and it doesn't reset until the next mission. So basically it'll absorb 1 wound and then that's it, it's done, but that's not a bad thing. These little swords down here, they represent what class can use them. So he's green, he's got the green sword, that means the squire can use this light armor. And then the red one means, if he, depending on what profession he picks, and actually I'll just show you that now too, that will determine whether or not he can use the light armor. So these cards, or your characters, in the game, eventually they'll be able to use experience and things to go up and pick, they'll be able to pick an actual profession. And they each have a choice that they can make, and I'm missing one of my cards. Don't know where it's at. Where are you at? Okay, so for example, on our squire, he can either be a knight or a mercenary. And you see with the mercenary, he's got the red sword up there. So that means he could use the light armor. If he was a knight, he wouldn't be able to use the light armor. And you can see his mastery goes up to a D8, and then his other stats change as well. And this allows him to use different skills and things like that too. All the cards, skills, equipment, and things, a lot of them, they all have the little icons on them to represent which class or profession they go with. So our apprentice can either be a mage or a chronomancer. And then our preacher can either, our novice can either be a preacher or a plague doctor. And then our scum can either be a thief or an assassin. So, and once you make that decision, they'll stay that profession for the rest of the campaign. Okay, so let's get back to this attack. So again, we have to roll 4 dice, 6-sided dice. We got to get 5s or better. Let's see what we can do here. So we've got 1 6. So we did stop 1. The armor's going to stop 1. We'll put that a little damage icon. So these are the little wound icons. So that represents 1 wound, and that represents 3 wounds. So that's going to be 1 on there, and then he's going to take 1 damage. So now the other crossbowman's going to attack, and we got a 6 again. So just 1. So now he's going to have to take 2. So we'll just flip that over to a 3. So he's already at 3 damage. The good thing is our novice can heal. So unfortunately, we may have to go ahead and use him to heal instead of focusing on the burning building and or the mercenary fighter. But that's the way it goes. So the archer or the crossbowmen have gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, because they only have 4 AP. And then we take these little arrow tokens or bolt tokens in case of the crossbow. And this represents that they fired, and since they have to reload, this reminds us that they have to reload and before they can attack again. There's also bullets there for black powder weapons. So if they also would have to reload, you just use that icon on the token. So we basically have completed all our enemies' attacks. Now, as you can see, there's an empty sector here. So we're going to rotate the big hand till we come to the next character, and it's all our heroes. So let's see where to begin. Well, I think I know I want to try to heal the squire because I don't want to have him already going into combat with 3 wounds. So we'll go ahead and move him. So that's 1, 2. So that's going to be 2 AP. He's got 5 AP. Again, 5 rapidity. And he will heal. Now he has 2 different things he can do. He can spend 2 AP with his medic bag, and this one is a mind test, and he heals 1 wound for each successful outcome to a hero in base contact. So this would probably be the way to go because I have a better chance. The other thing he has is a skill, which is called Medical Remedy. It's also AP2. It heals one wound, but it also discards all negative status tokens. So if there's if there's hindered or things like that, it can get rid of all that as well. So that's the benefit of that. So we'll spend 2 more AP on the medical bag. He has a mind of 3. So he gets to roll 3 6-sided dice, and he has to get over a 3. So he got a 4 and a 5, and then a 1. So that the little sun symbol there is that's a 1. So he got 2 wounds healed, so it's just going to go back down to 1. So that's 4 AP. He doesn't have anything he can do for 1. He could move, which actually may not be a bad idea. I think I'm going to move him back 1, and then that way he's next to the well. And again, next to the well, they can spend 1 AP to get a bucket of water. And then if they're adjacent to a building, they can spend 1 AP to put one of the fire tokens, remove one of the fire tokens. So that is a possible thing. So he's moved 5, or used 5 AP. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I could have, let's say I didn't want to move and put him there so that way he could go again sooner. The only problem is his rapidity is the same, it's a 5, as our mercenary warriors and our gypsy. And the enemies, if they're tied, the enemies are going to go first, so it doesn't really help him much right now. I mean, it could eventually, but they would still go before he goes. So I think moving back would be more beneficial. So the next thing we'll do, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll have, I'm thinking about if I get the squire, he won't be able to attack, but if I can get him engaged with the gypsy, that means she has to mess around with disengaging him to be able to attack, and it kind of would slow her down a little bit. Or if he engaged a crossbowman, but to get to the crossbowman, it would be, he could do it, but I think the gypsy's a little bit more dangerous because she can do a lot of wounds with her attack. So we'll go ahead and go after the gypsy. So he's going to move. And actually, I'll go ahead and grab a bucket for 1, just so he has one, in case we need it later. And then he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's in base contact with the gypsy. He spent 1, that's 4 to move. And then he spent 1 on that, so that's 5 AP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, we will go with the enchantress, or the apprentice. I think with the apprentice, she won't be able to attack. She does not have line. She could, if she moved 2, she could make an attack. But it might be more beneficial if let's do this. She has a couple abilities here to kind of beef up her attacks and chances to hit. So she can put with this particular mana gem ability, she has equipment. She can spend 1 AP to put a strength 1 token, a mana gem on this card, and then once per activation. And then she can have up to 3 of them. And then for 1 AP, she can use all of them to increase her chances of hitting. So I think we'll spend 1 AP to do that. So we're going to put one of these strength tokens. So basically it just gives her an extra die for her attack. So we'll put that on there. She'll spend 1 AP to get a bucket. So that's 2. She'll spend 1 AP to move up here. That's 3. She'll put the bucket on there for 4 to get rid of that fire token. And then I think, and actually I forgot to do this. If they use a bucket that does attract attention, so that's going to move her up 1 threat. So she goes up 1 threat. So this is the Perilium, or threat dial, and similar to, or the same thing they have in Sin Tempora. And so again, the higher that threat gets, the more chance that the enemy will go after him. I'm going to go ahead and move her last one here, because that way she doesn't have to waste a AP to move over to get in range of the crossbowman. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we have our scum. Such a mean name. So she is going to be able to, she could do her dagger attack. She has a dagger. It is a ranged, throwing daggers. So, oops, hit the camera there. So basically what she could do, this card was a misprint, but it's based on her physical. So her physical skill times 2 is the range, which is 3, so that'd be 6 range. Now the reason why they do it like that is if she becomes the thief, she can use this card as well, and her physical, I think, goes up to a 4, so her range would be 8. So they have to do it as a, instead of just giving it a base range. So anyway, she could do that for AP3. She also has a whip, which she can use for AP1, and it doesn't do any damage, but it can cause hindering to the enemy. So that's something she could do as well. And it's a reach weapon, so it has a range of 3. She also has a grappling hook, and then she could spend money on aim. And this is similar to basically what it allows her to do. For 2 AP, she can put a strength 1 token, so she gets that extra die. She can also, if she adds 1 more AP to it and does 3, she could earn another strength token. So she could potentially really boost up her chances of hitting by doing that as well. So like right now, she could spend 2 AP to do that and then throw her daggers, and she would have an extra die to roll. But I kind of need to keep these fires, some of them, under control. The one over by the crossbowman is pretty much lost. I'm not going to worry about that. But I can definitely keep these 2 buildings over here under control. So I think what she'll do is she'll grab a bucket for 1 AP. She'll move 1, 2, 3. So that's 4 AP. And then she'll throw the bucket up there for 5. Get rid of this. And then her threat will go up 1. So she is now at 2 threat as well. So at least we've got those buildings kind of under control a little bit. She's done. So that's going to be 5. So she's going to be with the rest of her heroes. And now this is empty. So we're going to keep rotating this until we hit the first token, which is going to be our crossbowmen. Again, they only have 4 rapidity, and they have to reload. They can't attack or anything. So they're going to spend 2 AP to do that. They have 2 left. Again, they don't need to move or anything. They're not actually in contact with the squire. They are diagonal to him, so that's not considered in contact with him. So they're going to stay where they're at. They're just going to reload their crossbows, and then they're going to 1, 2, 3, 4 move down to there. Again, we have an open sector, so we're going to rotate that down, and now we're back to the gypsies and the mercenaries. So we'll start with the mercenaries again. So again, their main objective right now is to focus on the buildings, because nobody's at a high enough threat value to distract them. And they're already adjacent to the building, so they're just going to basically throw some fire up. So we're going to have 1 there, 1 there, another 1 there, and then 3 here. So that means that building has been destroyed. So we're going to flip this token, and it's a book. So it is not the mercenary or the messenger. So this building has been destroyed. So it's basically just rubble. It's still, it's still there, basically blocking line of sight and things like that, but it's basically no longer a viable location for the messenger. So that's 1 building down, and the rest of them are going. This one's probably going to end up going 2 over here. So we are done with that. And the mercenaries are done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's the gypsy's turn. She is going to have to disengage from the squire or novice to make an attack, or squire, excuse me. So to disengage, it costs 2 AP. Now for an enemy to disengage, they do not have to make a test. So they just disengage. For a hero to disengage, they have to roll a 6-sided die and get a 4 or better on the die to disengage. And they can keep doing that as long as they have AP available to do it until they succeed. So in her case, she'll be able to disengage for 2 AP, and she's going to push him back 1 square because of the knife. So he's back here. So now she will attack, and again, the threat value of the buildings are 4. Nobody has a threat value higher than that, so she's going to stay focused on the building, and she will set it afire. That's going to add another fire token to that building, and that is that. So she's used 5 AP, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we'll rotate down to our heroes. So we won't be able to get the novice over to that building, so that building is basically lost. Our enchantress, though, or apprentice, keep calling her enchantress, will be able to grab a bucket for one, and then she can move one here. Actually, I'm going to have her move here. The downside is her threat value will go up, and she could potentially be a target of those crossbowmen, so maybe I won't do that. I'll put her here for 2, put the bucket on there for 3. That gets rid of 1 fire token. She's got 2 left. I think what I'll do is I'll spend 1 to put another strength token on here. And then I'm going to keep her behind the building because her threat value has gone up to a 3. So she's done. So she only spent 4. So she'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And our novice, he can't do anything about the fire on that building. He won't be able to, if he spends 1 and then 2, 3, 4. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he won't be able to do it. So might keep him on this side of the board because if the messenger pops out over here somewhere, we need to kind of keep him in between these fighters. So maybe what I'll do, might just go ahead and have him engage this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And, or actually maybe I'll go 3. And then I will spend 2 AP and I'll earn a bless token. And a bless token allows him to add +1 to all his dice when he attacks. So that's a good thing. So we'll put that on there. So he's done. That's 5 for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will go, we'll save our squire for last, I think. I'll do our scum. Now I think what I'm going to have her do, she's got a grappling hook. And this allows her to jump 1 square or climb 1 square. So I'm going to have her for 1 AP. She's going to pop up here. And now she has line of sight to that mercenary fighter. Because she has a ranged weapon, she can attack. And she also has the whip, but I'm just going to use the, because that was 1 AP, 3 AP for the attack. Again, she rolls 3 dice for her physical. She needs 5s or better. She got 2 5s. So she put 2 wounds on him. And her AP is going to go up 1. So she's at a 3 now. And now our squire is going to go. Squire's going to spend 1 AP to move in. Oops, let me move her here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If she did the whip, it doesn't do any damage. It would hinder him, but he's not really moving. I guess if the messenger came out, but even so, yeah. You know what the heck, let's try it. She'll do her whip. Wow, she got successes. So no damage, her threat value does go up 1. So she's at a 4. And he has a hinder token now. So that's a hinder token. Whoa. So he is hindered as well. And hindered is basically means, or it does mean, that, if I can find it on here. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hindered is, it's 2, for every square he moves, it costs 2 movement points. So he is hindered. So now she would go 1 more. And now our squire's going to go. Again, he'll move in 1 for 1 AP. He will attack the gypsy. He also gets, and I forgot to do this on his first activation, he gets a, with the shield, he gets a defense token every time he activates. So we'll put a defense token. That just, again, absorbs 1 damage. And get another one here now. So we'll have 2, which is good. And again, 4 dice, he needs 4 better. Wow, he rolled 3 6s. So that's going to be 3 wounds, which when he wounds him, he goes up once on the threat. It's a critical if you get 3 successes, so 3 hits and 1 attack, you get a bonus at damage, but you also go 1 more on the threat. So he's at 3 on his threat. So he just did 4 damage to the Gypsy. And she has 5 health, so almost took her out. If that would have been an attack against one of the Crossbowmen, they'd be gone. So potentially, if you hit somebody, if you wound them, do a critical, and kill them, that can be 3 threat and 1 attack. So he is at a 3. That's a good thing, because now he's up there. I'd rather have him attacked by things than the apprentice, at least physical attacks. Mind attacks she can handle, but not physical. So he moves 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because he moved 1 and 3 attack. Move this. So now the crossbowmen go. And they are not adjacent to the squire. They are actually diagonal from him, so they're not considered adjacent, so they don't have to move. They can make a ranged attack. They don't have to disengage or anything like that. So they're good right where they're at. So they will spend their 3 AP to attack. They're going to attack the squire. He has the highest threat in the area, fortunately. So we are going to roll 4 physical. It's a physical attack. He does 3 damage, or he does 3 hits already. So you got to get 5s or better. He got one there. We can use our 2 defense to block the other 2, so no damage. Now this is where he could get hurt really bad here. And we took 1, so he takes 2 damage. So he's up to a 3 again. So they're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, and again they shot. So next round they won't be able to shoot. And the dial's going to move. And now we're going to go to our Gypsy again and our Mercenary. So the Mercenary is going to go first. So they are going to put a fire token on, we'll start over here. So he'll put a fire token here. He doesn't have it, so he's going to move to the nearest building, which would be this one. So he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll put a fire token on this building, which is going to destroy it. So we flip it, and there's the messenger. So the messenger is going to pop out of that door. This is going to go 1 sector ahead of the current sector, so he's going to go right here. These are removed. And now we are in the event phase. So with the event phase, all the threat values change to the messenger. So for the mercenaries, it's a threat value, I think it was a 9. Or for the Gypsy, it's threat value 9 for the messenger, and threat value 8 for the Mercenary Fighters. So their threat value is really high, or the messenger's threat is really high. They're not concerned about our heroes. They're worried about that messenger. Again, the crossbowmen are still focused on the heroes. So they have all gone. He set that on fire. Now he still has, when he did that, the messenger pops out right away. So he still has some action left. So he would want to try to get to the messenger. Can't go through. He'd try to go the shortest way. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because he can't go through the hero. But I think he would still try to go. So he was going to move, and then he'll just stop here. He has 3 left. Here's a good question. Would he attack him, or would he go around and try to get around to get to the messenger? He's not getting any closer by going that way. My assumption is he would go there for 2. And because he's right there with the hero, and he's got 3 AP left, I would think he would attack. I'm going to play it that way. If I'm wrong, let me know. So the novice has 2 physical. Again, the mercenary warriors do 2 damage. He needs 5 or better, and they also cause bleeding. So he did block 1, so he's going to take a damage, and he's also going to get a bleed token. So he takes a damage, and then he gets bleeding, and this represents bleeding, and what happens is at the end of the novice's activation, that'll flip over to a wound. So he is done. Or the mercenary warriors are done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we go to the gypsy. And again, the gypsy is going to do the same thing. She's going to push him back for 1. Spend 2 AP for that. She's got 3 left, and she's trying to get to the messenger. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3. And she's not within range of attack, but she used everything she could to try to get to him. And that's it. So she's going to go 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now our heroes go. So we'll just go ahead and start with... well, we'll start with him, and maybe... Yeah, we'll do that. So he's going to try to get rid of this gypsy. You know what? I think I forgot to activate. I did. I forgot to activate him. So let's real quickly. I forgot to activate this mercenary warrior here. Now, as soon as the messenger comes out, he would have ignored the building and would have went to him. So he's not worried about setting fire, but he would have moved. So he would move. Again, each one costs 2. That's part of the reason why I was hoping to do that, and we get to pick the order. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. He can't move another one because it would have cost him more to move. Now that hinder goes away, it's the end of his activation. So he's done. And now we're going to go to where we were at, which was our squire. So I think our squire is going to attack first, hopefully get rid of the gypsy, and then he might be able to move out. He could either engage one of those crossbowmen or just get out of the way. So he got 2 hits. That's enough to kill her. So she's down. So he wounded her and he killed her. So that's going to be 1, 2. So his threat value is 5. She's gone. Now he still has 2 left. And now I could engage with one of the crossbowmen, but they have a knife thing too, and they're going to push. And then, so I think I'm better off. Thinking though, if I went between them, they wouldn't be able to push them away, would they? Because they can't push them into each other. I wonder if that would lock them up. There's another question. But I think for the sake of it, I'm going to get him over here. 1, 2, just to make them have to move. And they have to reload anyways. So, you know what? They have to reload. So he might be better off. I'm just going to leave him there, and he'll go 1, 2, 3. Because then I'll get to go again, and then I can maybe kill one of those guys. So then we're going to go with our enchantress. So I'm going to have her spend another 1 AP to put another one of these tokens on her. And actually, if you flip that this becomes a 2. So that would actually be 3 now. So that's 1 AP for that. 1 AP to move here. So that's... she wouldn't be able to do that because then she couldn't spend... So I won't do that. She'll keep those for 2. She'll move here for 1. She'll use 1 AP to spend one of these die, one of her extra die. She'll get to roll 5. She's going to attack the crossbowman there. Although, I almost wonder if she's not better off going after one of those guards, because they're going to try to get to the messenger. And she should be able to get rid of that one. Boy, that's a good question. I'm wondering if I'm better off going after that other guard. It's just those crossbowmen are going to be able to shoot. And obviously, Squire could be taken out. I don't... Well, I'm going to go after... I'm actually going to have her go after And she's got a free, yeah, so I'm going to have to go after that guard. Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's within range. And she got one hit. Again, 4s are better for them. Their mine's lower. Yeah, she only got one wound. That was bad. All right, well, it's something. So she's going to go up on her AP, or her threat value 1. She spent 3 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the dial's going to move. We're almost to midnight here, or to go into 6 o'clock. Now the messenger gets to go, so he's going to move his movement. And he has 4 rapidity, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll move him. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we'll have her go. She's going to throw her dagger at him for 3. And she's going to spend 2 AP to get a strength die to put on that. So she gets to roll an extra die. So she's going to roll 4 dice. And if she can get 2 hits, she can get 2 5s or better, she can take him out. And she got 3. So that's actually a crit, which is enough to kill him. But she's going to take... Actually, this is a perfect example. Even though the crit does it automatically an extra AP, that's going to be 3 because she's going to do 1 for the wound, 1 for the crit, and then 1 for taking him out. So she's at 7. She's way up there already, which is not a bad thing because then she'll attract the attention. So he's gone. Then we have, she's got 1 AP left. So I think I'm going to have her climb down to here. So she's done for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now our novice is going to go. And again, that's going to flip over. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll attack. He only rolls 2 for physical, but he does get to add +1 to each die. And if he hits, he stuns. So I could potentially stun that guard or mercenary fighter here. He got a 6, so that's a hit. And a 3, that'd be a 7 and 3, but he got a 6 and a 3, so that's a hit. So he's going to do a wound. His threat's going to go up. And this guy is stunned. And what stunned is separate for, this is something that's different between the heroes and the enemies too. Stun for the enemy is when they activate, they have to spend 2 AP to get rid of the stun token. Oops, and I hit the camera there. And then for a hero, when they're stunned, they move up on the clock 2 sectors right away. So it just delays their activation. So they do it differently for each, for the heroes and the enemies, similar to the disengage has a different effect, which is kind of neat. Makes it a little, adds a little spice to it. So 1, 2, 3. Still got 2 left. He spent this. Actually, I can spend 2 more and I can earn that back. So he'll get it back. So he's done. That'd be 4, 5. We rotate around. Now our crossbowmen are going to go. They're going to spend 2 to reload. They've got 2 left. Again, they're going to stay away from the squire because right now the threat value, the highest threat value, but they're not in the control area, would be the scum, but she's not in the control area. So they're going to focus on the squire, so they're going to stay where they're at because they can attack. Or at the minimum range where they're disengaged and attack. So they're done for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so now we go, now the squire gets to go. So this is where hopefully the squire can take out one of these guys. So 1, I'll just do this, 2. And we'll attack, we'll just attack the one right here. So he's going to roll 4 dice. He needs 4s or better. Now he could potentially, he only has 4 health, so if he can get a critical, 3 hits and a critical or 4 hits, either way, he's taking them down. And 2 hits, so that's not too bad. Oops, and I forgot he would add a defense token because he activated. So that's going to be a wound, so that's going to bump him up to a 6 threat, and that crossbowman takes 2 wounds. Oh, and I forgot about the guard back there. So he will, yeah, that's okay. Actually, he did the fire thing. I may have missed something, so let me know. It's invisible where I'm standing, and it's really easy to forget about. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because he had to move up 2. An attack. So this is going to, and this would have gone to 6 when it hit midnight. So that's at 6. As soon as it hits midnight, you move to the next hour. So now we're back to, oops, and she would have been removed. So now we have the mercenaries again. And this time I will go ahead and start with him. And again, his main focus is to get to the mercenary. And I think he's closer going this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because their threat value is 8. And the closest I have right now is the scum at 7. Well, this one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and try to get over here. And again, his threat value is not as high. He can disengage for free. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and try to get over to the messenger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now our messenger gets to go, and he's not engaged because he's diagonal, so he can move. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now our apprentice gets to go. And unfortunately, that well is an object, or it's blocking terrain, so she can't attack. She'd have to move to attack. So I'm just going to have her try to see what she can do to this guy over here. Although I could take out one of those crossbowmen. But right now the guard's more dangerous to the messenger. That's our focus. So she will attack. She gets to roll 4 dice. She's going to spend... I'll have her spend 1 AP to boost... Actually, I'll just have her... Yeah. Maybe I'll do a reroll. Let's just do that for the fun of it. So she can spend 2 AP for a reroll. She's got this. She'll spend that to get an extra die. Again, she needs 2 successes. Wow. She didn't get 1. She gets to reroll this. So she got 1 and she has 1 more die to roll. Boy, that thing is spinning like a top. And it's another 5. So 2 5s. So she was successful. So she's going to do 2 wounds to that mercenary fighter. Okay, so she went 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She had to spend both of these. All right, so she's done. This is going to rotate up there, and now our crossbowmen and our novice and scum. Now, crossbowmen are a 4, so they don't get to go first. So 1, 2. So she's going to attack. She's not going to move. She's going to spend 2 AP for that to get the strength die. Put it on here, so she gets to roll 4 dice. She's going to attack that wounded guard there. She needs to get, although she might be better off attacking the one in the... Nah, he'll be able to get there too. But he could move up and attack him. Boy, this is a tough one because the guard up there is... Yeah, but the fighter... Boy, this is like tough to decide which way to go. Well, yeah, he'll get to go first, so he'll be... Yeah, I'm going to actually... I should actually attack this guy. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, and the front edge would be the front edge. This doesn't block line of sight. So I'm going to go ahead and attack the one over there and potentially, hopefully, take him out. So she gets to roll 4 dice. She spends that. 5s are better. She only got 1. So she did 1 more wound to him. He's got 3. Now she could. Now she's not within reach. Yeah, she already spent her 5. So she's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The mercenary, or the novice gets to go, and I'm going to have him go 1, 2. He's going to attack him. Again, he has the bless, so I get to add +1. Rolls 2 dice. That's going to make that a 5 and a 3, so he did get 1 hit again, and that person's stunned. So he's got 2 wounds, and he's stunned again, so the good thing is he's going to waste some AP to start his movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't bless again, unfortunately. And the Crossbowmen get to go now. So they are adjacent to our fighter, and he has a threat value of 6, and he's within their control area. So my question again is, they push him away 1. Well, they can't. I don't know if you can push them. I think it has to be straight away when you push. So if that's the case, then they wouldn't be able to push because they'd be pushing into each other. So that's why I'm wondering if I got them into a position here where they can't do it, potentially keeping them from... They wouldn't be able to attack anyways because they have to disengage, and it's going to be 2. And they only have 4 rapidity. And again, let me know if I'm screwing that up. So the squire gets to go. He will attack that same crossbowman that's wounded. He rolls 4 dice. He needs 4s or better. And he would get another defense token. And he only got 1. So that guy is still lingering. But he does take another threat, so he's at a 7. And it's 1, 2, 3. He didn't have to move or anything, so he's there. Messenger gets to go. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now remember, he has to get all the way over to here to get off the board. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the mercenaries are going to go. So for him, he's got to spend 2, and then 1, 2, 3. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he's going to go 1, 2, and he gets to attack. So he rolls. Our messenger has a physical of 2, so he rolls 2 dice. So potentially he could stop it if he gets 5 or 6 twice, or 5 or 6 twice. So he did stop 1, but they do bleeding, so he's going to take a wound and bleeding. Oops, and I forgot to do that when the novice went. That would have flipped to a wound. So our messenger has been damaged. And so they're done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now again, the apprentice gets to go before the crossbowman. I think we're going to be able to get him off. So I think I'm just going to have her attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she'll spend 1 AP to get a strength token, 1 AP to use the token. That's 2, and make the attack for 3. She'll roll 4 dice, plus she gets another die. And that's 1, 2, 3 successes because she just needs 4 better for them. So she hit there. She got 2 successes, so that's going to be 2 wounds. So he has been removed. He is gone. She's going to go up on a 2 on her threat. to 6. And that was 5 for her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, if I'm doing the crossbowmen right, they can't do anything because they can't disengage. Or can they? See, I think I'm way overthinking this, I think. Because a hero is, well, they would get to a disengage automatically. Actually, I think I screwed that up. If we went back, because they would be able to disengage automatically. So he would go 1. He's already far. He would go 1. He's far enough. So they would have been able to attack last turn. We'll just do this as if it was that last turn, and then this turn they would reload. So they would basically be ready to this turn to reload. But let's do this and see what'll happen. So he gets to roll 4 dice for the 1. And he would stop all 3, and then the second attack with his shield. Wow, he didn't get any. 3, that's going to be 4 damage. So he would be down. He actually would be down. So he would have been knocked down. And what happens with that is you take the token and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ahead. And if he's not healed by the time it gets to him, then he is removed from the game. But I don't think that really matters, because now they would have gone, they would have reloaded and moved to. Although right now they wouldn't even really move to because they're within range of her. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about screwing that up, but I think I got it corrected. She is going to go. I'll just have her attack. That was spent. I'm going to have her just attack the one in front of her. Although she's not engaged with him. So I could attack him, and he's already wounded. So let's just do that and see if she can take him out. And if you see what I mean, she's not engaged because he didn't engage her. Enemies have to spend, if they don't fight with you, if they don't engage you in a fight, they can spend 1 AP to engage you, so that way you would have to disengage. Well, he used his full 5 AP just to get to that spot. So he's not actually engaged with her, even though he's adjacent. So she's going to attack him with her dagger and spend 2 AP to get the extra thing. So it gives her 4. And she did 1 wound. So he's going to be at 3. So that's gone, and she would go up 1 on in there. Now she's at an 8, so she's actually equal to. So now she is a threat to them, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now our novice gets to go. And he would not be able to get into an attack or anything like that. So I would just go 1, 2, 3. And he'll spend 2 for his bless, and then that would be that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we go with our messenger, and then our messenger would go 1, 2, 3, 4. And he has to get off the board, and then this would flip to a wound. So he would still have 1 more turn to go, actually, because I think he has to actually have movement points to get off the board to be considered escaped. And it says the messenger will spend all their action points to move towards the corner opposite the home which they escaped, which is that square there. So I think he has to actually have enough to get off the board, which is what we'll say. So there's 1 more round just to get a little bit more action in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll go up here. So now we're going to go to 7. So we basically have an hour and a half left. And now our crossbowmen would go. And they are actually going to focus on the enchantress now because she has a threat 6 and she's within their control area. So again, they were able to reload last turn, so they're going to attack her. So this could actually knock her out too. She only has a 1 physical. And again, they do 3 damage, so they could potentially take her out. So that's 3 damage. Next one goes. So she's down. So I could potentially still lose this because 3 heroes are down, then I'm out too. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the mercenaries are going to go. Now again, the mercenaries consider threat 8, so they're still not considered high enough threat. So they would go after still go after the messenger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The enchantress is down. Actually, she would have went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when she went down. So this is going to go here. So now this is when he is removed from the game completely because he was not healed. So he is gone. So we're going to get him off the board, fortunately. He could go 1, 2, 3, 4, just to kind of get ready to heal her. And then our scum goes. I could have her move 1. Actually, she's still got the front edge to front edge. She can attack that one. And again, spend that for the extra die, roll 4 dice, and see if we can maybe wound that other one. And she got 2 hits, so that's going to be 2 damage on him. So they definitely wounded a bunch, and then her threat would go up to a 9, so now she's well up there. And actually, they may have attacked her. You know what? What was their threat? The gypsy was 8, they were 9, and she was at an 8. So they actually would have attacked the gypsy. So I messed that up too, apologize. So let's see. This would be the difference. He's going to be able to get off the board. So let's see what would happen if when they were back here, they were like this, and she was at a threat value 8. They would have attacked her because if it's equal, they do consider the enemy or the hero a hostile. So they would have attacked her. So if we went with this one first, she has a physical of 3. Again, she needs to get 5s or better. So that would have been 3 wounds to her. And then the second one, he would have had to have moved, but he moves here. He would have attacked. And 6, so that's 2. That would have been 5. So she would have gone down. So in all actuality, with 3 downed heroes, I would have lost that game and would have had the messenger at the exit. So I kind of messed that up at the end, but you get the idea of how the game plays. And again, I think, I overthought the disengage there with the crossbowmen. I think I put the dagger before the horse, so to speak, and kept thinking the dagger part had to happen. That's only if you can. If you can't push them away, you can't push them away, but it doesn't mean they can't disengage. So I kind of screwed that up, and it threw things off a little bit. But that is how you play the game. The basic concept of it is very similar to Sin and Tempora. And again, comments galore. Anything else I may have messed up, or any strategy that you saw that I could have done better. But I do like the game. I like the system. There's some, I know on some of the boards there's some fuzziness here and there, but I think the designers are monitoring the boards and answering questions and things like that. So thanks for watching.